When we think of the Caribbean, the picture that comes to mind is almost universal. Turquoise waters, soft beaches, palm trees swaying in the wind, and warm sunshine. A place where people escape from stress, where paradise seems alive. But today, under that same sun, something else is piling up. Mountains of trash. Waste that is silently reshaping the beauty and the well-being of these islands. A recent report by the BBC called this crisis by a striking title, "The Caribbean Islands Struggling with Managing Waste." And it's not just a local issue. These islands are a magnifying glass, showing the world the very challenge of waste that every nation, rich or poor, will face in the years ahead. Let's begin with the islands themselves. Caribbean nations depend heavily on imports for almost everything: food, packaging, plastic bottles, electronic goods, vehicles. Most of these items arrive wrapped in layers of plastic or cardboard, and almost none of that packaging has a second life once it reaches the island. Unlike large continental nations, there's no vast hinterland to hide landfills. Space is limited. Once a landfill is full, the question is, where does the next pile of garbage go? The Caribbean is also a hub for tourism. Cruise ships dock daily, unloading thousands of passengers, and with them, thousands of kilograms of waste. Food scraps, bottles, disposable cups, and single-use plastics overwhelm local systems. Some ships claim to manage their waste on board, but leaks into ports or agreements with local municipalities often shift the problem ashore. And when the high tourist season hits, waste volumes spike far above what fragile municipal systems can handle. But zoom out beyond the Caribbean, and you see this isn't an island problem. It's a global one. According to the World Bank, the world currently produces more than 2 billion metric tons of municipal solid waste every year. If nothing changes, that number could rise to 3.4 billion by 2050. Think of that, 3.4 billion tons, enough to cover entire landscapes in layers of trash. And the vast majority of that increase will come from low- and middle-income countries, places where population growth and urbanization outpace infrastructure. Now, not all waste is the same. High-income countries tend to produce more waste per person, up to 900 kilograms per year per person in the U.S., for example. But many poorer countries generate less waste per person while suffering more from its mismanagement. In South Asia, for instance, around 70% of waste is left uncollected or dumped improperly. In sub-Saharan Africa, open dumping and open burning remain the norm, poisoning rivers, polluting air, and spreading disease. Plastic is one of the most alarming categories. Globally, over 400 million tons of plastic are produced annually, yet only about 9 to 10% is recycled. The rest is burned, landfilled, or lost into the environment. The ocean is the ultimate sink. Every year, around 11 million tons of plastic waste flow into marine ecosystems. And who feels it most? Island nations. From the Caribbean to the Pacific, plastic debris washes up on beaches, choking coral reefs, killing fish, and deterring tourists. Let's look at specific global stories. In the Philippines, the island of Boracay was once so overwhelmed with trash and sewage that the government closed it to tourism for 6 months in 2018 just to clean it up. In the Maldives, a so-called trash island called Thilafushi has become infamous, a dumping ground where mountains of imported waste burn under the sun, releasing toxic smoke near luxury resorts. In Ghana, the Agbogbloshie dump has become the world's symbol of e-waste, where discarded electronics from Europe and North America pile up, dismantled by informal workers, with heavy metals seeping into soil and water. All of this connects back to the Caribbean story. Small places, facing massive global waste streams, often without the infrastructure to manage them. What are the consequences of unmanaged waste? They stretch far beyond what meets the eye. First, there is environmental degradation. Plastics smother coral reefs, one of the Caribbean's greatest natural treasures. In Antigua, unlined landfills allow leachate, liquid waste, to seep into groundwater. In Jamaica, heavy rains sometimes wash trash into rivers that flow directly into the sea. Second, health risks. Open burning of waste, a common practice in many islands, releases dioxins and toxic fumes that can trigger respiratory illness. Open dumps attract rats, flies, and mosquitoes, vectors of disease. Children playing near waste sites inhale fumes and dust that slowly poison their lungs. Third, economic strain. Tourism is the backbone of many Caribbean economies, but a tourist who sees garbage floating by the beach may choose another destination next time. Waste also costs money, transporting it, collecting it, managing it. For islands with tight budgets, every dollar spent on trash disposal is a dollar not spent on schools or health care. Finally, climate impact. Organic waste, food scraps, garden waste, and more, when left in landfills, decomposes anaerobically, releasing methane, a greenhouse gas many times more potent than carbon dioxide. In fact, landfills are estimated to contribute nearly 20% of global methane emissions. So when we talk about climate action, tackling waste is not optional. It is central. Now, here is where perspective shifts. Waste is not only a technical or environmental problem, it is a moral and spiritual one too. The Quran speaks powerfully about wastefulness. In Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17, verse 27 says, "Indeed, the wasteful are brothers of the devils, and ever has Satan been to his Lord ungrateful." This verse makes clear that waste is not neutral. It is tied to ingratitude, to ignoring blessings, to denying responsibility. When we waste, we align ourselves with destructive forces, not constructive ones. Another reminder comes in Surah Al-A'raf, chapter 7, verse 31. O children of Adam, take your adornment at every masjid, and eat and drink, but be not excessive. Indeed, he likes not those who commit excess. Excess here is not just overeating. It includes overconsumption, overpackaging, overproducing goods that end as trash. The warning is clear. Balance, moderation, and respect for resources are divine principles. And in Surah Ar-Rum, chapter 30, verse 41, corruption has appeared throughout the land and sea by what the hands of people have earned, so he may let them taste part of the consequence of what they have done, that perhaps they will return to righteousness. When trash fills seas and rivers, this verse becomes painfully literal. The corruption of waste is both physical and spiritual. What we do returns to us, sometimes in polluted water, poisoned fish, or polluted air. So what are the solutions? They must come from multiple directions. At the local level, islands can invest in small-scale but effective systems, composting organic waste, sorting plastics, banning certain single-use plastics, and building engineered landfills with protective linings. At the regional level, Caribbean nations could cooperate. Instead of each island struggling alone, they could pool resources, ship recyclables together, share facilities, or develop regional waste-to-energy projects. At the global level, high-income countries bear responsibility. Many of the products consumed on islands are imported, wrapped in layers of packaging designed abroad. International agreements could hold manufacturers accountable for designing recyclable packaging. Tourism industries could adopt strict waste management standards, ensuring they don't leave behind what locals cannot manage. And individuals, you and I, are part of this story too. Every time we choose less packaging, reuse items, recycle properly, we reduce the pressure on the system. For those in wealthy countries, our consumption patterns shape waste streams that spill across borders. For those in vulnerable countries, community initiatives, education, and advocacy matter. The Quran again gives guidance on how transformation begins. In Surah Ar-Ra'd, chapter 13, verse 11, "Indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves." Change begins with us, with awareness, with responsibility, with action. The Caribbean's trash problem is not a local embarrassment. It is a global mirror. It reflects what happens when modern consumption meets fragile ecosystems without proper management. If we ignore it, we all suffer. But if we take it seriously, islands can lead in innovation, in circular economy practices, in sustainable tourism. Paradise does not have to drown in trash. With justice, wisdom, and action, the Caribbean and the world can protect both its beauty and its people.